Let's talk about micromanaging, and not just how it feels, but what it actually does to the brain. To understand its full impact, we need to connect some dots across neuroscience, workplace, surveillance ethics, social support research, and even motor learning studies. And while not every source uses the word micromanaging outright, the underlying theme is the same. Constant oversight, lack of autonomy, and relentless pressure can take a real toll on our brains. First, think about the modern workplace where surveillance technology is becoming more and more common. Micromanaging isn't just a boss standing over your shoulder anymore. It can mean neurotech that monitors your attention, your fatigue, even your emotional state. This kind of invasive monitoring, what some call neurosurveillance, is a high-tech form of micromanagement. And it's not just creepy, it's stressful. When employees know they're constantly being watched, especially on things they can't fully control, like brain activity or emotions, the stress starts to build. This activates something called the HPA axis, which is the body's central stress response system. And when that system is switched on too often, it wears you down. This kind of surveillance doesn't just trigger anxiety, it also erodes your mental privacy. Imagine not even feeling safe inside your own thoughts. That loss of psychological autonomy can lead to identity stress, mental exhaustion, and cognitive overload. Your brain gets so busy monitoring itself that it runs out of energy for the things that really matter, like being creative, solving problems, or thinking clearly. Now let's flip the coin and talk about the protective side of things. Research in social neuroscience shows that autonomy and strong social support have the power to calm the brain's stress response. In fact, having trusting, positive relationships at work can actually help micromanage the HPA axis in a good way, keeping stress hormones low and helping the brain stay balanced. But in a micromanaged environment where support and autonomy are missing, that protection disappears, and over time, this kind of unrelenting stress is linked to real health problems, like weakened immune systems, heart issues, cognitive decline, and even mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. There's also a fascinating connection between micromanaging and how we learn. In motor learning research, there's something called an internal focus of attention. It's when someone becomes overly focused on controlling their own movements, like constantly checking every muscle and twitch instead of just doing the task. When people focus too much on themselves like this, their performance actually gets worse. It's harder to learn, harder to react smoothly, and way easier to mess up. This is exactly what micromanagement does in the workplace. It causes people to turn inward, always second-guessing themselves, trying not to make mistakes, instead of focusing on the actual work. And that internal pressure blocks the brain's natural flow. It ramps up error rates, kills creativity, and drains motivation. So to sum it all up, micromanaging, whether it's coming from a boss or from the inside, leads to real, measurable harm. It activates stress pathways in the brain, overloads cognitive systems, kills creativity, and makes it harder to learn or perform well. It strips people of autonomy and ramps up self-consciousness, which in turn makes jobs feel less satisfying and people less productive. But here's the good news. The opposite is also true. When environments support autonomy, build trust, and encourage healthy social connections, the brain responds positively. Stress goes down, learning goes up, and people thrive. It's not just a nice idea, it's biology. In the end, micromanagement doesn't just hurt morale, it physically affects how our brains work. So if we want better performance, better health, and a better workplace, the answer is clear. Trust people more, monitor them less, and give them the space to think, grow, and just be human.